No matter what challenge comes our way, no matter what danger we face, we hoist our great American flag very, very high. We race into the waves and we rally to that immortal battle cry of the American sailor. Damn the torpedoes. God bless Japan. God bless the United States of America. And God bless our Navy. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
President Trump just moments ago speaking to service members at the Yokosuka Naval Base, celebrating our military and his wins for the American people during his trip to Asia.
The president now expected to head to a reception with business leaders later this morning to wrap up his time in Japan before he heads to South Korea for that crucial face-to-face with Xi Jinping. You're watching Fox and Friends first here on a Tuesday morning. I'm Todd Pyro.
And I'm Carly Shimkus. Doug Luzader has all of the breaking news overnight from President Trump's remarks, and he joins us now. Hi, Doug.
Carly and Todd, good morning. President Trump inking new deals with Japan and offering a show of both force and friendship on board the U.S. aircraft carrier George Washington this morning, appearing at one point alongside Japan's new prime minister.
This woman, that's right. This woman is a winner. So, you know, we've become very close friends all of a sudden because their stock market today and our stock market today hit an all-time high. That means we're doing something right. But the cherished alliance between the United States and Japan is one of the most remarkable relationships in the entire world.
The president at one point brought up Naval Air Crewman Third Class James Bacall onto the stage. During those remarks, Bacall helped find and rescue 3 missing Navy divers off the Japanese coast 2 years ago. Trump also honoring all of the service members there.
We do make the best weapons, but if you don't have the right people to operate those weapons, they don't mean much. Despite that, as Commander-in-Chief, I never forget that our ultimate strength does not come from equipment. It comes from the men and women of the rank and file. That's true. It comes from you people, incredible people.
Incredible people. And there you see a live picture from Tokyo, where we expect Marine One to land shortly. Along the way in this trip, there was talk of Japan buying a new fleet of Ford F-150 pickup trucks, as well as new defense business for the U.S.
I'm delighted to report that I've just approved the first batch of missiles. You saw a couple of them coming down with me. I hugged them. We need them. They're the best in the world. Nobody has them like we have them. They all want our missiles. That's the problem. Everybody wants them. But it's the first batch of missiles to be delivered to the Japanese self-defense forces for Japan's F-35s. And they're coming this week, so they're ahead of schedule.
And from Japan, the president will travel to South Korea, where he is expected to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping. A lot hinges, of course, on that meeting as far as trade talks are concerned. The president also says he is open to sitting down with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. There's no guarantee that's going to happen, but what a thing that would be. Todd and Carly.
Doug Luzader live for us this morning on the right-hand side of your screen, while on the left-hand side of your screen, Marine One either has landed or is about to land. It's a little bit tough to see because, again, it is night over there. Let's bring in Gatestone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, obviously, we just played a number of clips from Donald Trump's speech to our Navy. That was very exciting. It was very motivational. It was very, I would dare to say, somewhat threatening to China. If I heard that and I'm Xi Jinping, I'm thinking to myself, wow, we have a military that is ready to go. We are on our game, and that could be a force if, you know, China decides to get a little bit creative with Taiwan. Does President Trump now have the upper hand going into Thursday's meeting with Xi Jinping in light of the trade deals, in light of that speech we just saw in front of the Navy?
The United States has much more leverage over China than China has over us. And yes, you know, a lot of Americans have talked about rare earth dependency and pharmaceutical dependency, but China needs the American market. It has never been more trade dependent in its history. And this deal that we have been told about, a framework, is essentially a one-year truce, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. But the point is, we are using that time much better than China. Matter of fact, China is doubling down on industrial policy that makes it more dependent on exports, which means more dependent on the U.S. So this is going to be a very good year for America.
Yeah, and we're watching Marine One as it's about to land in Tokyo. Next on the president's agenda today is he's going to attend a reception with business leaders. That's supposed to happen at 6 o'clock this morning, our time. And then after he is finished with his trip to Japan, he heads to South Korea, Gordon. And there, the country is expected to lean into the fact that they plan to help President Trump and the United States with its mission of building more ships and building up our Navy. How important is that, given the size of China's Navy?
Well, the U.S. Navy has a management problem, and it's had it for about a decade or more. And yes, we do need help. The thing that is important here is that we're building business relationships with South Korea at a time that its government is very pro-China, very pro-North Korea, and virulently anti-U.S. Now, the people of South Korea are pro-U.S., but this government is not. And so these business ties that the United States is establishing are really important to bind South Korea to us. So, yes, this is a very good thing, Carly.
So, Gordon, how do you expect China to respond to President Trump's deals on this trip so far?
I expect them to do what they do in the past, and that is to promise us everything and then renege on their promises. The important point here is that the U.S. Has given a very substantial concession to China, a concrete one, not imposing the additional 100% tariffs. We've done that for promises from China on rare earths, fentanyl, soybeans. I hope that they honor it this time, but we got to be extremely concerned. And you got to remember that the phase one trade deal of January 2020, the Chinese did exactly that. They told us what we wanted to hear, and then they decided they were not going to honor their promises. And that was during an election year, which had, I think, an impact on the outcome of the 2020 presidential election.
Yeah, and just taking a step back for a moment, Gordon, from a 30,000-foot view, what have your top takeaways been on this trip so far with the president in Asia? And also, has anything surprised you?
Well, Sunday was fantastic for the United States with all of those trade deals and with the enhanced ceasefire agreement. It shows that even in China's neighborhood, it's the U.S. that is the dominant force, not Beijing. And so that was really good. I loved the president's dance moves on his arrival in Malaysia.
Right.
We would never see Xi Jinping do something like that. And that's the reason why people in Asia, regardless of what they think about American policies or Trump policies, they love the president of the United States. And that's also true of people in China itself. From what little we know, Trump is very popular on the streets of China, much more popular than their own leader.
Yeah, and just a few other notes before we let you go. Japanese Prime Minister also said to President Trump that she pledged to give Washington 250 cherry trees for our 250th anniversary next year, and also gave President Trump a putter used by Shinzo Abe because they formed a really solid and wonderful friendship over their shared love of golf. So two other little fun notes from this trip, along with the dancing in Malaysia. Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow Gordon Chang, thank you so much for joining us.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.